In this session, we're going to identify text in a distorted image. I brought in this image here where we have two different distortions, and it's all one font, but every letter has a different distortion applied to it. So we're going to begin by separating the colors. We've loaded our image, and we're going to separate our colors. I'm going to let the program do it automatically, where we have our teal and our white. We're going to process that image, and we'll create vectors. Okay, this is our initial trace, and I traced just the default settings. We're now going to come over to our text tool, and we're going to use the Fonteye tool to see if we can identify these letters. So I'm going to select that top line of text, identify font and replace, and I'm going to go from straight line down to distorted. Now I'm looking for a distortion that closely matches what I have, which would be this first distortion. We have some preset distortions, and we'll be adding more to this as time goes on, but I'm going to choose that first distortion, and it automatically detects the boundary lines for that. So I'm just going to raise that up a little bit, and just by grabbing these lines, just bringing the lines just to the outside of my image, like so. I'm going to click Next. And now I have to type in the letters that Graphic Tracer is going to be looking for. It's got a question mark here, so I'm going to say that is a capital B that we're going to be looking for. We've got the capital L, the capital U, and that is not an L. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to type an E. Once I have typed in the letters that Graphic Tracer is going to be looking for, I go to Next, and Graphic Tracer will go through looking for a font match. And here we came up with some matches. These are my Fonteye matches over here. If it's in white or gray, the replace button does not highlight because it's not a font that I own. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to scroll down. I can either use the slider here, or I can just highlight that and just use my down arrow to take it down to the next letters. And I'm looking for fonts like this one here that's in green. That designates a font that I own. Now that font is the Buckingham Condensed Regular, it says, but it's expanded 147%. I could go down farther, and you can see there's other fonts down here. Here's Windsor from the FlexiSign, or Canon, Fantastic 2000. As I scroll down to each of these, you can see how it changes slightly with each of these fonts that I select, like so. But I'm going to go back up to the first one that we had here, Buckingham Condensed. That is a font that I own. And that is very close. Actually, when we look here, we got a little more weight here, so I might go down and look and see if there's something that I think is a little closer. That FlexiSign font is close, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. Now you can see that the font here is a little taller, so I can go through with my boundary lines, and if I stretch that up a little bit, you can see how it adjusts the image there, like so. I also have a fine-tuning adjustment over here where I can adjust this stretch, and you can see as I click on that, you can see how it brings that in a little bit, and we get a very nice match. And I click Replace, and we have just cleaned up that first group of text on the top here. I'm now going to take and I'm going to just marquee around the bottom text, and we're going to identify that font and replace. Going to do the same thing, use the drop down to distorted. Now this time I'm not going to use the same distortion. I've got a straight line at the top and an arc on the bottom, so I'm going to use this third one over here, and you can see we'll choose that. I can now come through and very slightly adjust my boundary lines here, my baseline. Might want to drag that down just a tiny bit, like so. And I'm going to do the same thing. I click Next. And I can't use my last search because we had a different distortion applied to that last one. So I'm going to type in the W. Just use my tab key over to H, A, L, and E. I click Next. And let Graphic Tracer search with the new distortion. And here you can see we've got Windsor. Now these are not fonts that I own, so I'm going to scroll down for a green one here. There's Corel 9, and I could go through and get the Flexi one again if I wanted to. We're going to just adjust this slightly. Whether it's the Corel or the Flexi, they're both fonts that I own. And so it really doesn't matter what, if I'm cleaning this up, it really doesn't matter which font I use, as long as it matches up nicely with the graphic, the trace. I'm going to just adjust that slightly there, just tweaking that out a little bit. Actually, you might want to drag that down just a little bit. Bring that in. It looks very nice. I click replace, and I've just cleaned up my graphic. At this point, I can jump right over here to save, where we can export this graphic as an EPS, an AI, DXF, PLT, SVG. If I click on that, I can bring it right into CorelDRAW or Illustrator or SignCut Draw. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you again next time.